pivoting doesn't mean actually not to eat specifically. It just means to explore the
Mhm.
other options. And oftentimes it's not food. You are listening to the Undieted podcast, real talk about food, body image, and breaking free from diet culture so that you can live a life on your terms. A quick heads up before we begin, this episode may include discussions around emotional eating, body image, and mental health. If these topics feel sensitive to you right now, please take care and skip or pause as needed. All right, let's dive in. Welcome back. You're here with Melissa.
And Rebecca.
Last week, we talked about having anxiety, eating out. So that's a really good episode. If you missed it, you should go back and listen to that one. And today we are diving into navigating nighttime eating when your sleep life is disrupted. This is a huge, relevant topic as well.
And it's a topic dedicated to my heart because I've dealt with it and I've helped clients deal with it too.
And it seems to be more and more present as we age,
Yes.
as we become moms. The nighttime snacking is really there for many. I've had a client that I work with that used to keep full chocolate bars in her nightstand.
Oh man. But it's a real struggle though. That's the thing that we want to kind of also decrease shame if you feel shame in this episode as well.
Mhm.
So and also like I guess trigger warning, we will discuss emotional eating, sleep disruptions and hormones in this
Yes.
episode.
Yep.
And we'll
So
discuss some resources to help as well.
So let's start with how sleep affects your hunger hormone. When we don't sleep well, it causes you to be more hungry throughout the day. So you have to sleep like it's your job. And a lot of us have a hard time sleeping, whether when we fall asleep, we're thinking about things or we're scrolling too long. I myself have fallen asleep watching a show on my phone. And what happens is that show doesn't just end and the phone turns off. It plays the next one and the next one. So then maybe 3 hours later, my phone is still playing and it wakes me up.
Yeah.
And another one is if we are drinking a lot of water, we're trying to get our water in, you want to be mindful to start filling up at the beginning of the day, because if you're trying to get it in all at night, you will be waking up to use the washroom.
I can relate to that right now.
Rebecca is pregnant with her second child, so she's in the washroom all the time.
I am I'm going to the bathroom every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
If anyone can relate, please comment.
Yes, been there, done that. So sleep deprivation, it lowers leptin. That's your satiety hormone. So that's the hormone that says that you're full. And it raises ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. So makes you feel hungrier. So these are natural strategies to help you with that hunger and fullness, because nowadays a lot of people are saying, I'm hungry all the time. I can't stop eating. And they're defaulting to weight loss medication when they need to just look back at their lifestyle and see what they're doing with their stress, their sleep, etc. So
Yeah.
when you have one night of poor sleep, you'll be hungrier the next day.
Yes.
Cortisol also spikes from poor sleep. When you have high cortisol, it causes you also to eat more, just makes you feel hungrier when you're not.
So, Melissa, maybe this is an opportunity I can call out my favorite influencers. I say that with sarcasm, by the way, in case you're wondering. Of the people that say you could fix your cortisol levels with this product, and I go, no, you can't. Do something for free, and maybe look at your sleep levels. Maybe look at what's keeping you up at night. You know?
Yeah, it's everybody is trying to make money off people's insecurities.
Yes.
And I made a reel about that because, again, I saw this huge influencer who's selling a cortisol powder to add to your water. So
Of
add this to your water and everything will
course.
be fine. You are wasting your money.
Exactly. You're wasting your time and money.
Come back to the bottom, the habit, the
Yeah.
why. Why is that
Yeah.
happening? If you don't fix that, there is no drug, there is no supplement, there is nothing that is going to help you. Please hear my words
Yes.
when I say that.
No, exactly. And so, what I recommend as a therapist when it does come to sleep regulation is what we call sleep hygiene, which is a funny name. but it is something you can Google and find in like about 4 minutes for free. I should add, underline, without having to pay money for a cortisol powder. But
And they're not cheap.
no, it's not. It's like you're shelling
Because
out
it's
money.
part of an MLM and
Yeah,
everybody's gotta get paid. She's gotta get paid, the one on top of her's gotta get paid,
yeah.
and who's paying you?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, one thing I would encourage listeners, if you do want to improve your sleep, you could start by Googling or talking to your therapist about sleep hygiene. And it offers already some basic steps on how to improve sleep, which is, check to see you're not using technology before bed. Make sure you're not eating right before bed. Make sure your bedroom is only used for sleep and sex, nothing else.
Uh,
Make sure to clear clutter from your bedroom so it doesn't cause you anxiety before bed. There's so many steps out there that are more beneficial than following an MLM
Yep,
product. Yeah.
exactly. And, I know that especially as moms, your downtime is right before you go to sleep, you're left alone. We all enjoy scrolling. I do it as well.
Yes.
One tip that I'll give you is to set a timer. Say, "You
Right.
know what? I'm gonna get this out of my system. I wanna scroll, relax, unwind." That's fine, okay? Put a timer on, pick an amount of time that's, 20 minutes, say. When that beeps, respect it, turn the phone off and put it down and go to sleep.
Yes. Yeah, that's a perfect strategy. And it's definitely something that I'll keep in mind too, because as a mom, you kind of get FOMO. You got fear of missing out
Yeah.
of the world, right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I have a point here that research shows that poor sleep causes you an excess of at least 300 calories more in snacks. You're snackier. So what I do with my clients that are feeling like they're never full is we go back to the day before and I
Right.
ask them a series of questions so we can find out what happened. And that's what you have to do with yourself. Always get curious. Your actions, approach them with curiosity, not judgment. Why? Why am I doing this? It's the
Yeah.
same thing when you're in a bad mood or you get angry. Why? Why did this set me off?
Yeah,
Why am I in a bad mood? Go back to the root all the time.
exactly. Look at the trigger that set it off.
Yeah, so even when you have a bad sleep, you'll want more coffee the next day, and you just really can't stop eating all day. So
And that's the thing. That's the thing too. It goes to point number 2 that emotional and mental exhaustion at night can also cause overeating at night.
Yeah, when you never turn your brain off. So things like also to add to Rebecca's list, stretching, putting on some, relaxing music and you stretch before bed. It's so
Yeah.
relaxing. Go in your washroom, wash your face,
Eh.
massage your face, do something nice for yourself. Even a nice hot shower.
The hot shower is actually the tip I give most clients because it just like temperature can also help to stop that nervous system response along with
Mhm.
cold, of course. But I know a few people who like cold showers, but I mean, but it's like, it's definitely like starting off with a basic step, seeing how you feel, and then adding on to it if you're feeling no difference or if you're feeling a little bit of a change, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we also have perimenopause, hormonal changes. This all affects us. And this is why you see women mostly, they gain all of their weight in over 35. And one reason for that, too, as I see, and I saw it with myself, is when I had these four small children running around, taking them to the park. I was home with them all day, busy, 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 go, go, go. And then all of a sudden, they're all in school and I have a slower pace day, all that movement has to be replaced.
Yes, that's true. That's really true.
So it's important to build an active lifestyle and you'll be able to manage your weight much more easy. But, perimenopause and menopause disrupt sleeps for sure. You get hot flashes, you're more anxious, you have mood swings. Some
Yeah.
have restless leg syndrome, which is
Yeah.
very, hard it happens while you're sleeping. So it disrupts your sleep. Your estrogen, progesterone fluctuates. It affects your serotonin. So then we
Yeah.
search for things to make us feel better to bring in that serotonin, which is food. But let me tell you something. If you work out and you get a sweat, There is nothing that feels better than that. That is
Oh, hell yeah.
amazing. So you wanna replace that snacky with movement. It is so beneficial.
Yes.
So then you also become more insulin sensitive. So
Ooh.
all these things happen, and I'm seeing a huge wave in women 40 up that are saying, you know what, I've tried it all, nothing's working. So now I have this weight loss drug available to me, and they're going to their doctor and they're asking them to put them on it. Here's the thing. I have clients on a GLP-1. Okay. You still have to have a healthy lifestyle. But the way it's introduced is that it's like a magic pill. It's going to fix everything. I can't tell you how many women who have maybe 50 or more pounds to lose, they get plateaued at 20 to 30 pounds. They think the drug is not working anymore. They want a higher dose, but you're not addressing your lifestyle. You can't expect to lose weight and build a healthy life by doing nothing else,
Yes.
just taking a medication. It
Yes.
doesn't work that way. And I would encourage you to, before seeking that method, is to really look at your lifestyle, audit it, and see how you can make changes. I offer free lifestyle audits. That's something I'm at a stage in my business now where I'm able to do that one on one. That is something you can take advantage of with me. If you go to my website or reach out to me on social media, we can book that for you to get a professional to just look at your lifestyle and tell you what are some changes you can make. Because I promise you, you're really happy on the drug, but you end up disappointed later on in your journey when you realize that it is not the magic pill.
Exactly. And that, it's not going to also fix self-esteem issues. It's not going to fix trauma. It's not going to fix all these different things either,
Mm. And I
right?
get it because in my time, I took a diet pill, which was a very, very strong diet pill. And it completely eliminated my appetite. I wasn't hungry for anything. So I
Mhm.
lost 50 pounds when I stopped because you can't, just like the medication, they make you believe you can keep going. I think some people think they can. Eventually, you have to get off, right? So
Mhm.
once I stopped, I gained 65 pounds. So
Mm.
not just my 50. My body went way in the other direction. It was a terrible, terrible time in my life. And I get it. I get it. But all the women that are successful, they tell you they took one tiny step day by day. The
Yeah.
progress was slow, but it was for the last time.
Right over blah. Now, to listeners, like we're also letting you know that whatever you decide medically, like it's your choice. But we also want to acknowledge that if you're avoiding the problem, it's not going to help you in the long run, right? It will always be under the surface,
Mhm.
right?
And it's the same thing with any medication. I've had clients that come to me that say, "Hey, I would like to see if I can possibly get off my blood pressure medication, get off
Mhm.
my cholesterol." And I'm not the one that takes them off the medication, but I get them to a point where their doctor says, "Okay, you don't need this anymore," because everything can be improved. I've seen a ton in the 9 years that I've been doing this. They've gotten off blood pressure. They've lowered their cholesterol where they don't need to take cholesterol pills anymore. It's
Yeah.
all in your lifestyle. And even with chronic illnesses, it's the same thing. They go, okay, you got to take metformin, and they don't change anything else in their life. They just take the pill and they're like, okay, now it's fine. But why? Yes, genetics loads the gun,
Fun.
lifestyle pulls the
Well,
trigger. So just because your mom or your dad, my mom and my grandmother have high cholesterol. I don't.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you're destined for that just because generations in your family have it.
You nailed it. And it's like just because there's a genetic risk doesn't mean that you'll fall into that genetic risk unless you take that, the control of nature, the nature versus nurture, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's all in your lifestyle and the habits that you have day by day. And sometimes we get so comfortable that we don't even know any different. We don't know that it's possible
Mhm.
to change, and it's really transformative. I've been through a lot of transformations where people have been in tears. They can't believe it, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So one thing I want you to know about your perimenopause, menopause, hormonal changes is to stop blaming yourself because I hear a lot, I'm broken, it's me, I just can't stop
Oh.
eating. I. Don't do that.
Mhm.
Let's look at the solution, because you're not alone. It happens to everyone. It's not isolated to
Yeah.
you.
And, I think another thing for the listeners to recognize is that, we're also acknowledging that women's health is not really acknowledged in the mainstream medical world. So don't blame yourself, empower yourself,
And
allow
one
your.
thing that was new, many women don't even realize, is how much more sensitive we are to stress as we age. And
Yeah.
when you are stressed, you eat more.
Yes.
So if we can focus on managing the stress, it'll reduce your cravings, your appetite. That's your natural Ozempic.
Very true.
And I don't want to, the medication, I don't want to take it away from everybody. There are people that's the avatar for them,
Yeah.
right? They have diabetes. This is how it started. People with diabetes were put on these drugs, but now everybody wants them.
Mm.
And it's not for everybody.
Yeah, no, of
There's a
course.
place for everything and a person for everything.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
And so another thing to quickly mention, and it's one that I see with my, like, funny enough, I see it with over the years of working with clients, even with patients. There are also things to acknowledge. Like if you find that you've been put on a psychiatric medication recently and you find the nighttime eating has increased, I would actually say, like, check in with your doctor and make sure that it's not a side effect of the psychiatric medication.
Mm-hmm.
Because some sleeping pills, or even like not antidepressants, but antipsychotics, can cause like nighttime eating to occur as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, just like one quick note for the listeners, if you notice like you started a medication, you're noticing the nighttime eating increasing, then definitely check with your doctor.
Yeah, nip it in the butt right away. Don't wait
Yeah.
and see and keep watching the scale go up because, hey, there are different medications and maybe that one's not for you.
Exactly.
Your body's not responding well to it if your hunger hormones are going up as a side effect to it.
No, exactly. It's always best to check in with your doctor and let them know that if there's a side effect that you're experiencing and you're like, what? This is not what I intended, or it's not worth the benefits, then definitely check in with your doctor.
So, nighttime snacking also heavily occurs when you restrict throughout the day. So, in my experience, I advise all my clients not to do intermittent fasting. Don't
Yeah.
skip breakfast. I think for women over 40, a protein focused breakfast is extremely important. And I eat a bigger breakfast, medium lunch, and smaller dinner because food is energy and you need it for your energy needs. You need less energy as the day comes to an end. So it is much more important to start your day off with a big breakfast and come down. And I have some women that have said, I'm just not hungry. You're going to get hungry at some point. Your breakfast doesn't have to be at 7 a.m. It could be at 10.
Yeah.
Right. But just don't have this. I don't eat breakfast till noon. I don't eat breakfast till 1
Mm.
because you are going to trigger nighttime snacking. Your body is lacking. Whenever your body is not getting its needs met, it's cravings that comes out.
Exactly. And it's also trying to make up for that energy that was lost in the beginning of the day,
That's
right?
right. That's exactly it. So the common traps are skipping meals, small lunches, chaotic days, nighttime overeating. And this is why my plating approach is so important because it teaches you how to build a balanced plate at every meal. So I say that I have a big breakfast, small lunch, and medium lunch and small dinner. Well, many people, even men included, eat salads for lunch, and a salad is fine as long as it's made the magic plate way, which includes carbohydrates. So don't eat chicken and romaine lettuce. Add beans for fiber and healthy carbohydrate. Add rice to it. Add quinoa. Add something of substance to keep you full.
Like a Cobb salad?
Cobb salad,
I
yes.
love Cobb salad.
Probably switch out the dressing, but Cobb salad is it's more hearty.
Yeah.
But we try to lose weight by eating salads and really skimping out, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It
No, of course.
backfires on you, and because you're doing it and you're not seeing results.
But also it wouldn't be able to also fuel you, like for the rest of the day,
Enough. So
right?
at 3 o'clock, you feel very tired. And then when you're tired, you're snacky. So all of these things cause snackiness,
Yes.
tiredness, stress. It all causes you to snack. So the magic plate is protein, fiber rich carbs, healthy fats, and always lots of color on your plate. You
Yeah.
can get this download on our resource page on the undietedpodcast.com. It'll be linked in the comments. Take a peek at that because it'll really help you. I've had followers on social media who aren't even my clients who write to me that they're losing weight just by following the plating method. So imagine
Oh.
they're not looking at anything else. And I don't know their lifestyle. Maybe they have a healthy lifestyle, but they weren't eating properly,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
salsa and chips is not a meal.
Yes.
You have to turn that into a magic plate, and salsa and chips turned into a magic plate would include veggies and protein, whether it's, chomps, beef sticks, chicken breast, boiled egg, anything. But
Yeah.
we want to stop eating those, I don't know, empty meals as I say. Nighttime eating is not always emotional, right? It's a lot of creating a routine. And I myself have a routine, and it is easier when you're a mom to have a routine at night because you're putting the kids to bed and then it's kind of your time and things like that. So try to develop a nighttime routine with some of the tips that, Rebecca mentioned before that you can start incorporating at night and stretching. I like to have
Yeah.
tea every evening. It's like part of
Same.
my routine. I sit with my ginger or my peppermint tea. I love it. And if you are thinking a lot, you can't shut that brain off. Either take a piece of paper and pen or your notes app on your phone and dump it all out.
Yes. I
Because
recommend that as well.
yeah, your brain is going because you don't want to forget anything. But if you know, okay, it's in a spot, it's in my notes on my phone, you're gonna have this like release of you don't have to worry about forgetting because it's there.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And even jotting down how you're feeling.
Yeah, for sure. Some people even use like a journal just to write down their to-do list for the next day because it frees space up in their mind. So they're like, okay,
Mhm.
I don't have to think about doing all this stuff the next day. I'll just dump it out on this paper and
Yeah.
call it a day, right?
Yeah.
The other thing too is that, a low stimulation TV or music can also be good for your routine. A lot of people tell me they watch on YouTube the people building like a wooden house.
ASMR. Yeah. My son watches that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like I watch car detailing videos sometimes if I just wanna shut down my brain and just watch something that's just like, low
Yeah.
stimulation.
Podcasts are really good for that
Yeah, for
too,
sure.
because it's just the audio and you just,
Yeah.
and there are
Yeah.
some relaxing podcasts. I mean, you can listen to our podcast, you can listen to anything that'll, where you're not watching the screen. I have my headphone and I have my phone reaches my nightstand and I'm just, laying in bed listening for a bit, staring at the ceiling.
Yeah.
And that helps too. That helps when I can't sleep, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Another thing too is that you want to also make sure that anything you do is low stimulation because your brain is tired from the day, right? Like it had so much stimulation if you have kids, like you probably know what I'm talking about. And so you're trying to lower that stimulation. You're trying to lower your nervous system response. And you're trying to, in a way, have a more peaceful evening, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And we've mentioned this one in almost all of our episodes because everything we talk about really comes with, pausing and pivoting. So with my clients, a lot of times when they find themselves in the pantry, it's like pause, stop, go for a walk, or remove yourself from that room, go upstairs, whatever it is, and really ask yourself, am I hungry or am I feeling something else? And if you could feel good in 20 minutes, sometimes it's just a matter of maybe putting on your favorite show or something, putting on a good song, anything to kind of distract you from wanting to eat. That's why a lot of people say that when they're very busy in their day, they barely eat is because they're not thinking about food, right? They're doing all kind of things. So you want to redirect,
Yes, of
especially if
course.
you know you've eaten. Pivoting doesn't mean actually not to eat specifically. It just means to explore the
Mhm.
other options. And oftentimes it's not food.
Exactly. And it's also a time to also check in with your hunger cues, seeing like, am I truly hungry? Is my body telling me that I'm truly hungry? And if not, then that's where it's like, okay, how do I replace that with
Uh,
something that may be better for me?
uh-huh.
Self-care routine of some sort.
And getting to know yourself. You'll get to know yourself that way a lot better too and see what your needs are.
Yeah. Now, number 4 is my favorite because I do this with a lot of my overeaters. You want to reframe the nighttime eating with compassion. Even if you were to stop it one night and you continued 3 nights, consider that one night a success.
A
Because
hundred
you just
percent.
you just stopped the pattern. You just stopped the habit. And I tell clients all the time, like when you're monitoring the nighttime eating or you're monitoring when the overeating occurs, if you're even monitoring it, you are doing something that you're bringing into the conscious brain and you're taking
Awareness.
action. Yeah, exactly. And so keep that in mind is that, by being conscious, by listening to these tips, by, taking action, you are being compassionate with yourself. You're also trying to make a change too.
Right. It's even that's a good point that you brought up to even if you did it once and even if you night snack the 3 days after. It's the same thing when you if you try my magic plate, don't start off by eating all your meals like that. Start with one a day.
Yes, because
Just
taking
yeah.
that small step is still making a change and then just increasing that as you feel comfortable with that one small change.
And you allow yourself to naturally start doing it on your own without thinking about it. All right. So, as we end the episode, we want to highlight the takeaways and to really reiterate that, you're not addicted to food. You're responding to cues from your body, your emotions, and your environment. So, that's why we're always saying to get curious. And if you don't understand or how you can start to get curious, just reach out to us. We'll walk you through it on our Instagram. Nighttime eating isn't something to punish, it's something to understand. Again, coming to yourself with compassion, curiosity. Why? Why am I doing this?
Exactly. Check in with yourself, check your triggers, check how your day is, journal, any stressors that might have occurred the day before or the same day of, right? If you have any questions of any of the tips that we had in this episode, don't be afraid to reach out.
No, and Rebecca and I both provide consultations. So reach out to us if you're feeling stuck. We can help you move the needle. Please share this episode with anyone that you may think it might help. All
Until
right.
next
See you next
time.
time, guys. Bye.
Bye.